Hey guys, this is Do-Re-Mi here with the Light Armor Magplar build for the Clockwork City patch. I'm gonna just tell you right out that this is a DPS oriented build, so if you're not into that, then you're probably not gonna like this build because it doesn't have as much sustain like if you were running Lich or Desert Rose. But as far as being able to burst down multiple attackers very swiftly and effectively, I feel like this build is the best at what it's meant to do. So to get into it right away, we're running 5-piece spinner. We're only running spinner on our front bar, so you're going to want 2 swords with spinner and 3 pieces on your body, or you could run 3 jewelry. Our other set is going to be War Maiden. At first, I don't think that a lot of Magplars were actually running this, but then they started catching on to like how overwhelming the increase of DPS is with this set, because it literally increases every single one of your DPS abilities except for Vampire's Bane, which still hits really hard because of the spinner. But with this, you're going to easily be able to get like sweeps. I've hit a crit sweep for like 3,500 a single sweep, so you just have insane damage, and your Devouring Swarm is going to recap for like 30k. It's insane. You're going to want your main hand sword to be Nirnhoned. This is because your main hand is the only weapon that gets 100% of the tooltip damage, which is 1535 right here, and your offhand only gets half. So you don't want to go too Nirn, you want to make this offhand sharpened to min-max your DPS. On my back bar, I'm running a Nirnhone 2-piece of the Lich. The reason that I'm doing this is because I like just a little bit of extra recovery, and I feel like if you're playing this build properly, you should spend most of your time on your back bar and only switching to your front bar for those DPS windows that you get for short intervals of large burst, and then back to your back bar again. And the extra magic recovery really helps to be able to keep going back in with that burst and being able to purify and heal, stuff like that. I'm running all in pen. I like the tankiness that it gives me, because like as light armor and having no shields, you're going to be kind of squishy, so as much crit resistance as you can squeeze out of it is definitely optimal. But if you see that you do a lot better with being able to block more, then I would say switch out a couple pieces sturdy, and I would definitely make this shield sturdy. Mine's divines, I haven't gotten around to transmuting it yet. I'm running 2 recovery glyphs. I feel like you need a little bit of recovery in this build, just so that way you're not like that one-shot wonder, like you go in and you burst everything and then you're screwed because you can't heal and you burnt yourself out, like just, you know, sweeping and DPSing. And then 1 spell damage. You could do reduced cost as well. That would work just fine. For our food, we're running Clockwork Citrus Fillet. You could run Witchmother's Potent Brew. I just like the Citrus Fillet because we are a vampire in this build for the reduced damage, and obviously for the Swarm because it's buffed by our War Maiden. But we have enough magic recovery, enough health recovery to actually kind of like mitigate that negative vampire effect, so we're able to still get health back like when we're kiting around and crap like that, so you won't stay at like 0.5% health when you get hit really hard. We've got 3197 crit resist, 40k max magic, which is actually pretty nice, and 1700 health on our front bar, rounding up, but on our back bar we've got 1800. So in Cyrodiil or BGs, you're gonna have 23k, which is really nice, especially being light armor. Like, it's just it's more than enough to be able to get through like when someone hits you really hard and get back up and purify, heal yourself to full. On our front bar, we have, let's see, character, 45% crit, and this is really important for this build because we're running the Shadow. And the reason that we're running the Shadow is the Templar actually has a passive right here, Piercing Spear, increase your crit damage done and damage against blocking targets by 10%. But using the Shadow, it basically gives us empowered crits, which is really like the biggest portion of our DPS in this build. That's how we're able to hit so ridiculously hard. And with 45% crit, it might not seem like a lot, but since all of these are damage over time abilities, we're getting a lot of opportunities for those crits. And with the Burning Light passive, it's all proc damage hitting really, really freaking hard. Let's see, am I missing anything here? Oh, yeah, you could run the mage if you wanted to, just a little bit max magic, or you could run the atro if you feel like you're having a lot of trouble with sustain. But honestly, this build hits so hard that I don't think you're going to need it. You burst most things down that are in your way faster than you're going to be able to burn yourself out of magic. We're going to go to the CP real fast now. It's pretty straightforward setup, you know, a little bit in the Siphoner, summon the Warlords for the 9%, 15 in the bash focus, 27 in tenacity, because you like to be able to get those fully charged heavy attacks in. If you CC someone, you know, be able to get a little bit of stand back to be able to block till your pot gets up if you're really low. 75 in the Arcanist to make the most out of what magic recovery we do have. 32 in the Mooncalf, so when we're DPSing, you know, we're getting stand back to block some more on the back bar. And 42 in the Shadow Ward. I'm running 11 in Blessed, 64 in Elfborn. This is pretty important. You want to try and pump a lot of points in the Elfborn because that's where you get a good amount of your damage from your crits. 64 in the Elemental Expert, 35 in the Spell Erosion, and 56 into Thaumaturge. Now, what I actually probably should do is take some points out of Erosion here and put those points into Thaumaturge so that way you can get this Exploiter passive, because if you're smart with your toppling charges, you can catch those off-balance targets and you're going to be able to melt them really fast. For our red tree, we're running 37 into Ironclad, 62 into Resistant. Again, you really want to try and get as much crit resist as possible. That way you're still pretty tanky. 43 into Hardy, 43 into Elemental Defender, 37 into Thick Skinned, and 8 into Quick Recovery. Just a little bit of extra points. Buff your heals a tiny bit. Let me show you actually the damage buffed up really fast here. Now, buffed up, we have... Oh, crap, messed up. Gotta do that again so I can show you the weapon damage proc. If it'll go off. This is ridiculous. Having this much trouble proccing weapon damage enchant. There we go. So, 3200 spell damage buffed up. This is not including your War Maiden tooltip damage or the penetration that you're getting from spinners, and those are really important things to factor into your DPS. That's why you hit so hard. I feel like overall the stats in this build are really good. You could do a couple of triglyphs if you wanted a little bit more stam, but just try and min-max as much of your Magicka as possible. You know, that way you can hit as hard as you want. And you could run Grothar just to buff your magic if you wanted to a little bit. See, with running 2-piece Grothar, we actually have 42k max magic instead of just under 40, but we lose a little bit of that health that makes us tanky, and we lose the burst of Valken. But you really could do whatever you want. And for our bar, our ability bar, it's pretty simple. The truth is you could run whatever you want. My personal liking is to run toppling charge, so you would go in, you entropy, hit him with the Vampire's Bane, Purifying Light, bar swap to toppling, go in with the swarm, and then hit sweeps. Just, you know, spam sweeps till everything is melted in your path. But the beautiful thing about Templar is that you can really run whatever ability you want. So like you could even just go like say you're fighting like a Magnite Blade, you can do Harness, Total Dark, Dark Flare, and Soul Assault. Like that's a really solid setup. You know, you can really do whatever you want. That's why I like the Templar so much. But and then your back bar is going to be pretty regulatory. You know, you got your extended ritual, got your Purifying Light, Honor the Dead. You could switch that to Breath of Life if you do a lot of group play, but I play solo a lot. Structured Entropy, Restoring Focus. You definitely want Restoring Focus over Channeled. This makes you exceptionally tanky because it gives you increased healing and reduces your damage taken. And then just Meteor on the back bar to buff our magic a tiny bit. The only thing that you really want to make sure you run on the front bar, honestly, is Inner Light, just for that 5% increased max magic. I feel like it makes a sizable difference in your DPS. But yeah, guys, that's the build. It's pretty simple and straightforward, and it's a lot of fun to run. I mean, it just does an incredible amount of damage. It is a little expensive to get, but I think it's really worth it, because once you start running out there, you can honestly just hit an entropy, run in with sweeps, and you'll be able to DPS like anything down. It's really fun for group play, solo play. But tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me if it works for you. Like if you like it, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy.